Welcome to season 6 of the Breakthrough Show. Breakthroughs around the world, conversations with 40 guests from 40 different countries, honoring our differences, acknowledging our similarities, and celebrating our connection. Doesn't matter which way you do that. I realize I just completely flipped that around. But at any rate, you know me as your host, Jessica Dugas, the creator of the Breakthrough Show Network. For season 6, episode 15, I feel like this episode has sort of been a long time coming. We've known each other for a super long time online, though we've never met in person because we live, I don't know how many miles away from each other. But she's a registered professional counselor with a holistic approach and has done a beautiful job of being able to support others while still navigating her own challenges as a special needs mom. Representing the country of Australia, please welcome Nicole Ivens to the show. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you so much for having me. And we are quite a far way away. I don't know either how many miles, kilometers, whatever it is. I just know it's a long way.
Yes. And I had to completely control myself for not making a hello in the future joke.
Or using the whole g'day, as people seem to think in America is how we talk here in Australia. It's not, but
You're not going to offer to throw some shrimp on the Barbie? Is that
I don't think I've ever done that in my life. Sure, we have barbecues and stuff, but I don't think I've ever put a shrimp on the Barbie. I don't know where that came
Listen, from. This is what we're here to do on this series, you guys, is smash these ideas that we think are happening around the world. I'm so excited that you're here today because, like I said, we've known each other a long time now, years, in fact. And I was going through my countries that I wanted to virtually travel to this season. And I said, oh, Nicole's in Australia. We must get her on the show. So I, of course, would love to know what you love about your home country of Australia.
So one thing that does kind of, I guess, taken in the right way, I think, and way people describe us as a nation, is that we're very laid back. So the culture of Australia is very laid back. We like to kind of do things easy. We like to relax. You know, we're very close to both mountains and the ocean here, which is what I also really love about it. But also for me, I feel like Australia is just like one big community. So when things go wrong, and you may have seen, over the last few years, obviously every country's been struggling. But even on top of that, with the weather and things, we had very bad floods, we've had very bad fires. And as soon as that happens, you see all of Australia, no matter where that is happening, we all come together and we support each other, we hold each other up. And I find that to be the most beautiful thing about our country here, is that we really support each other in those difficult times.
I love that. Well, and how big is the country? Do you know? Because I'm sure you're taught more than, I know it's out in the water over there. That's what I know about Australia, but I don't how big of a country is it exactly?
I have no idea.
Oh, good. I'm not alone.
I wish I knew that off the top of my head, but I don't. I just know, we've got a few different states. And if you look at, I guess, the map of Australia, it does look quite small. There are a lot of people here, obviously not as many as the US, but it's just something that's strange because we had those fires and they were in a place called New South Wales, but then you'd have people like in Tasmania or people in Victoria, people in Queensland, where I am, just reaching out to these people that are really struggling, and it's just every time I see it happens every time. So every time something big like that happens, the fires, the floods, whatever it is, you just see people come from everywhere to absolutely support people that they don't know. It's not their actual community. It's not their family or their friends. It's just their fellow Australian. And that's, for me, that's how we feel here in Australia. There's some, things that happen where they're like, you have kangaroos bouncing down the street. We do not.
See,
that is one thing.
Listen, you guys are going to learn some things when we talk to our guest from Ghana as well in a couple of weeks. Because we seem to think here, I don't know if it's just America that thinks it or other countries as well, but we seem to think that in other parts of the world, like in Africa, there are lions just walking into people's houses. In Australia, there's kangaroos in your yard, right, Nicole?
That is is not a thing. I don't think I've ever seen a kangaroo bouncing down the street. I mean, where we used to live in a place called Canberra, which is actually the capital of Australia, you would have to be careful at night time when you were driving because they would bounce across the road.
Oh,
and so
okay.
they would take out your car. Like they are powerful animals and they will wreck your car if you hit them. So at night time, we would have to be careful of that in Canberra. So
Okay.
I'm assuming that's probably where it came from, but
Yeah.
it's not like they're in my backyard or they're bouncing down the street during the day. It's more at night time they tend to roam a little bit more in places like Canberra where there's a lot of, mountains and grass and things like that. But yeah, I think that's probably where it came from.
I feel better now, though, because I just wanted to know that at some point during the day there was a kangaroo hopping somewhere. I just need, because I was going to be very disappointed if this was not the case.
Yeah. So you're not completely off the mark.
Yeah. Well, good. I feel better now already. So when we talk about, other than the kangaroo thing, and some of these sayings that we think you guys say, what are some of the other things that maybe you just want to clear up about Australia?
I know that people think when they're coming to Australia that they are going to be in danger from every type of spider, every type of poisonous snake. But again, that's not really what's happening here. I mean, obviously, if you're going to go out into the outback, so we have quite a vast outback here in Australia, then you're probably going to come across some of those things. But for the most part, if you're visiting the capital cities, Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, those sort of things, you're most likely never going to come across, the funnel web spider or, the poisonous snakes or anything like that. Because we do have them, yes. We do have all of those, and they're quite, but me, I've been here since I was born, so 47 years. I haven't ever come across a snake.
Okay, good to know. See, listen, I have not. Australia used to be one of the, countries on my list that I wanted to visit, and then I would see these things and be like, "Look, no, I'm not going to go there and die." So it's happen. So I'm glad to learn these things. How, we see a lot of different, countries represented in a lot of different movies. And I think one of the movies, funny enough, that opened people's eyes a little bit to some of the beauty of Australia and off the coast, believe it or not, even though it was a cartoon, was Finding Nemo. Because it was just that you got to see some of the things. What is the big, I should have researched before I came on here, but I'm assuming you'll know. I think it's in Sydney, and is it like a playhouse or it's a big house. It's an opera house. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are there many sort of monuments like that? Like, what does the history look like architecturally around Australia?
Yeah. So in Sydney is where we've got a lot of the architecture. So obviously we have the Opera House. We also have the Sydney Harbour Bridge there as well. So they're two of the big landmarks that people know about. And even so, like every New Year's Eve is where they have a big fireworks there on that bridge. So that's very well known across the world. People can climb the Sydney Harbour Bridge as well. So if they're visiting Sydney, they can climb up over it. Me, no. Heights, no.
I'm going to have to pass.
I'm like, I'll just see it from down here. Thanks, it's fun. But I mean, every city within Australia has its beauty. And I think that's what's amazing about it. Like I said, where I live here in Queensland, I am what feels like I'm in the country, but I'm still in the city. So I'm in a place called the Gold Coast. And where I was living just a few months ago was right near the ocean. And now I'm in the mountains. So, it's amazing. That's like maybe a half an hour trip in the car, depending on traffic, of course. But half an hour trip, I'm at the ocean or I'm at the mountains. Yeah. So to me, it's amazing to have that vastness within the same city. And here we feel like we're in a little country town. Like to me, I find that to be quite amazing. And even, with Australia, we can travel to places pretty quickly. From here to Sydney, we've got an hour flight to there. Back to Canberra, where we're from, it's an hour and a half. We can get to places within Australia very easily and pretty quickly as well, even though we're so far away from everywhere else. Like I know to fly to the US, I believe it's maybe a 12-15 hour flight for us. And that's why, it's such a vast we're so far away from each other. But for us here within Australia, we can travel to each of our places pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I'll ask you? It's so last week we had Greg Lennon on the show from France, and we got to talking after the show, and I was telling him about us driving somewhere long distance, and he's like, I don't understand. This is like such an American thing. You guys just get in the car and you just go, and I don't hear about, I mean, obviously people fly here, but everybody loves the road trip thing. Do you guys do that in Australia? Do you like to do the road trip thing?
Yeah. So we've done that a few times from here. So like I said, we're from Canberra. So that's about a 12-hour drive from here. So we have done it a couple of times. I can't do it very often because of my eldest daughter who has epilepsy. The last time we did that, it was just too much for her, and she ended up having seizures when we got home. So it's not something that we personally can do very much, but it is something that is part of the culture of Australia, are the road trips they happen. I remember as a kid, we did that, quite often.
Yeah.
So it is definitely part of the culture here in Australia that we do that as well.
Oh, good. I'm glad. People make me feel like us Americans just do things by ourselves sometimes. So I'm glad to know it. So the one other thing that I asked our friend Carmel that was on from New Zealand, is that when I think of like places like New Zealand, Australia, I don't think, usually you think of a country, you can think of a food that's associated with it. I can't think of something that's associated with Australia. Is there anything that you guys are known for food-wise?
Yeah, it's quite funny actually. New Zealand and Australia have a bit of an argument about who owns it.
Oh, here we go. I knew we were going to get the tea.
Yeah, so we have the pavlova. So it's like a meringue cake with like the cream on the top and the strawberries and the bananas and the kiwi fruit. And Australians say it's ours. We say it's ours. New Zealand says no, it's ours. So there's still this battle going on about who it actually belongs to. I think it probably does belong to New Zealand. For us, we have what's called the Anzac biscuit, which too could also be a New Zealand thing. I don't know. But that's something that we make because we have Anzac Day, which is like your Memorial Day. And that's Australian and New Zealand for our military. Okay. So, we make Anzac biscuits for that day. So again, could be a New Zealand thing. I'm not really sure.
Okay, now when you say biscuit, do you mean a cookie?
I don't mean the scone. I mean cookie.
Like a cookie. Okay. So that's similar then, because I had this whole argument with my friend in England about this and the biscuits and the cookies, and she thought that we just have lots of misconceptions about what each other thinks is a cookie or a biscuit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I love it.
So I guess I would say our food's probably the sausage or the snag, whatever, however America describes that, and it's the barbecue. Like they say, throwing a shrimp on the barbie. Well, that's not necessarily what we all do here, but we do use the barbie a lot. It's that is something of the culture of Australia. You will smell the barbecues burning throughout the streets, especially through summer. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that would be what I would say would be the food. I'm sure there's probably others that I'm just not thinking of right now, but for me, that's what I would say, because it's something that's done through all families here in Australia. So that is probably what I would say would be our food.
Yeah. Well, now that we're all hungry, it's time to move on from this conversation.
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
Absolutely.
I want to get into a little bit of your work and what you do, but I know that, as I mentioned in your intro, you juggle a lot. And it's one thing to be a mom, but then when you're a special need mom, it adds another layer to what the challenges are. Tell us a little bit about your family dynamic and what that looks like.
Sure. So I have two teenage girls. So one is my eldest, which is Gabby. So she's now 20. Now she was diagnosed with epilepsy back in 2014. So we're like 8 years on now with that. So she was having seizures pretty much every day. She still does now. Not the big seizures, but she's having what we call the absent seizures, which is just the flickering of the eyes, and she's unconscious for anywhere between 2 and 5 seconds every time she has one of those. So I had to very quickly become her carer. So I'm her mum, but I'm also her carer. And now that she's left school, so she's at home with me here, I have to be her carer. So I have to be available to her 24/7. So she is my number one priority. And then also my youngest daughter, Grace, she's 17. She's finishing year 12 this year, which is our final year here in Australia. She also had a critical catastrophic event when she was at the same year, actually, 2014, sorry. So for her, it was in February. What happened was she ended up with critically low sodium levels. We nearly lost her. So she had to have blood transfusions. She had brain damage. So I was helping her recover from that. Then we get to, I think it was December 2014 when Gabby had her first seizure. Wow. So that whole year was really hard for us, obviously. As a mum, I had to quickly, my world was turned upside down. Everything had to change for me as a mum on a personal level. I was running a different business back then. So I was a candle supplier here on the Gold Coast, actually for all of Queensland, for all of the candle makers. And, it was a great business. I built it from the ground up. It was doing really well. But the fragrances were setting off my daughter's seizures. So I had to make the decision that obviously she had to come first, and I had to close that business down.
Wow.
So that's when my new business came into birth, because I was like, okay, well, I don't have that anymore. I've lost that, which was my thing, something I built from ground up, like my own baby.
Yeah.
And what do I do now?
Yeah.
So that's the new role kind of emerged, I would say.
Right. I sometimes, obviously, I'm sure you would have never wished for that to happen by any means. But sometimes when we look back at those situations and go, wow, this really shaped our future and shaped what I'm. So do you look at it like that as well now? Is it hard for you to look back at those first moments?
Not now, only because I've done a lot of healing.
Yeah.
And it was funny, actually, because my youngest daughter's doing an art project at the moment where she's doing it on her medical journey. So she has putting all these photos together of her medical journey and was showing it to me. And then she said, Mom, I'm sorry. I hope that didn't upset you. And it was a really, I guess, great moment for me. And I said to my husband, this just shows how much healing I've done.
Yeah.
I can look at her in that hospital bed when she was dying. I can look at her in the MRI machine, and there was nothing. There was no trigger. It's just something that we went through. It obviously helped to build my strength, my inner strength, to show me what I am absolutely capable of. And then with my eldest daughter, I do look at that and go, you know what? I wouldn't have got to where I am without that happening. And like you said, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, definitely not on my child.
Right.
But I would probably never become a counsellor.
Right.
I would never have done the work that I'm doing now, which I know is my sole purpose, if that had not happened.
Yeah.
You know, so it's definitely something that I'm thankful for, but not even on that level, on a family level.
Yeah.
The four of us have become so tight and so close-knit to think that I have two teenage girls that don't fight because they've both been through the same sort of experience. So they understand each other on a very deep level. They have a very tight relationship. And to have teenage girls that don't hate their mother.
Yeah. Listen, that is a feat in itself. Let me tell you, with some teenagers of my own over here, it's depending on the day, they either hate me or they like or just slightly dislike me. Like depending on the day. Do you? This is something that I'm really that has been a challenge for me as well, because I also had a daughter that went through some pretty significant medical issues. And I find myself, I'm still working on the healing very much. And I find myself being hyper vigilant about with my kids now, and very it's almost, there has been times when I truly think there's been almost a PTSD kind of response of going like, when they bump their knee, not jumping to, you're probably going to need it amputated now. Like, you know, like not going to that extreme. It's been very, very hard for me to not jump to that. Have you been through that as well?
Absolutely. Like I definitely suffered from PTSD, and I specialize working with carers and special needs parents for that reason, because I had to grieve for the life I thought I was going to have, especially with my eldest daughter, and I had to grieve for the life I thought she would have. That was my turning point. But also every time she would have a seizure, PTSD. Because it's not just what's happening in front of me. It's not just this one seizure. This is all of the seizures from before. And the thing too is when she had her first one, I wasn't there. I had left her at home for the very first time. She was 12 years old. Thought at the time, no, she'll be okay. She's 12. Took my other daughter down the road 10 minutes, came back, and she was unconscious on the floor. So she had her first seizure without anybody there. She was by herself.
Oh, and that probably adds a whole other layer to it.
That's right. So then every time I would think about leaving her, I can't for that reason. You know, obviously I've dealt with that side of it. I don't have any emotional charge around that anymore. And I came to a place of this happened, because I'm very big on things happen for a reason.
Right.
And this happened because I needed to not be there for some reason. It may have been too hard for me. And the thing too, you know, I could have been at the other end of the house and it could have happened, and she still would have been alone essentially. And that probably would have been even worse guilt that I would have felt that I didn't know my kid was seizing in the other room.
Right.
So there's just, it happened for a reason, and I had to come to a place of acceptance with that and being okay that that's the way it had to happen for some reason that I don't know right now, but I'm sure I will know one day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I love that though, that, you know, you've really worked through a lot of those things on a personal level. And I think, you know, when we look at people going through any given situation, and I don't know if this was your perspective as well, I expect a lot from myself. So when these things happen, I'm like, Jessica, what's wrong with you? Why don't you just snap out of it? Like, figure it out already, woman. And so was it challenging for you to allow yourself to navigate this stuff as it came up for you, or was it easy for you?
No, I mean, it wasn't easy. Absolutely not. Because, you know, obviously working as a counsellor, I'm working with clients, you know, every day, and I'm helping them through similar experiences. And in the beginning, it was really hard, and I was really struggling. I was getting triggered by by my clients, right? So I was like, you know what, I need to pull back. And I actually pulled back. I closed the business down for about 6 months because I like, you know what, I have got to work on myself first. Because if I do not get this stuff sorted, I'm just going to continue to get triggered. I'm going to continue to hurt myself, and I don't want to affect my clients with my like counter transference happening either. So yeah, it took 6 months, and I did all of the deep healing, and oh man, it was rough. I'm not going to lie, it was rough. There was some stuff going on, you know, physically as well. I was having physical stuff happening with my body, and I'd been to a naturopath, and my liver was, you know, not doing well. My kidneys were not doing well. And that was from that high cortisol level. Because for 3 years, I had to monitor my daughter 24/7.
Right. So
I wasn't getting very much sleep. I had a camera on her, and I would watch that in my room. It was this black and white camera that was in my face all night. Wow. And every time I'd hear her move, I'm like up, like you're saying, hypervigilant. What was that? You know, it turned out she wasn't having any at night time, thank God. But at the time, the doctor was like, no, you have to be on her 24/7. You realise I'm human, right?
Right.
I need
Right.
to sleep here. So my cortisol levels were through the roof, and it started to affect my physical body. So I was like, I've got to do something about this. So that's why I took that break. And I think that was what really shifted it for me, because I could finally break.
Right.
We're not allowed to break as mums. We can't do that. So, but I said to my husband, I've got to do this. And I said, no, I'm going to break, and you need to be ready. Because I've been the one holding everything together for so long, but myself was just glued together, right?
Right.
So I was like, I have to be allowed to break. So I warned him, this is what's going to happen. You need to be ready. And he was great. He helped me through all of it. And I'm, like I say now, I don't get triggered by my kids' medical history anymore, because it happened. But I honored myself through that healing as well. And I think that's really important, especially when we have our kids go through difficult things. We don't want to be living in that hypervigilance, because that is absolutely a trauma response. And we want to be healing those things that are causing us to be hypervigilant, because otherwise then we are holding our kids back too.
Right.
So like, nope, can't do that. Nope, I need to keep you safe. I need to keep you protected. Nope, be careful walking down those stairs. Don't run down the hill. Like we're on them all the time. And I've learned through my experience that I had to pull back and just allow my kids to be. Like even recently, because we had to move because the rental crisis here in Australia is terrible. I'm sure it's just bad in America as well. I moved to a completely different place to where my kids' school is. And I was driving 3 hours a day to get her to school and back. And I had COVID as well. I'm experiencing long COVID. So unfortunately, my fatigue is very bad. So having to drive 3 hours a day just wasn't helping. So I had to go, you know what, she's 17. She's capable of catching the train. And she gets there quicker. Like the train gets to school 20 minutes. I take an hour in peak hour traffic. So again, it was me honoring myself and going, this is what I need. I need to step back and allow her to be who she is. And this has really helped with her independence.
You know what the interesting thing is, of all of the things that no one tells us when we have kids, I find that balance personally between being the protector and allowing them to fly, the hardest thing I have ever had to try to navigate. And I don't even think I have it all figured out at this point. I don't think I ever will.
No, it's such a hard thing to do, because you just want to fix everything for them. You want to protect them from any hurt that happens. But unfortunately, we can't do that. Even if we try our hardest and glue ourselves to their side, they're still going to have heartbreak. There's still going to be things that happen that they have to deal with. And I guess what I've learned with my kids, and even both of them doing these art projects, because my eldest daughter had to do it when she was at school as well. And she has these blue glasses that she has to wear, especially if we're in the car for her epilepsy. And she did her art project on what her world looks like through the blue glasses. So watching how they're looking at their own journey and then looking at my journey, it's understanding that they had to be separate. And I say this to my clients a lot, is that when we have kids and they grow out of that kind of kid stage into preteen and then into teenage, our journeys separate. So we step off their path. So they're on their path just going, and we're just next to them. We can't be in front of them anymore. But as you say, that is the hardest thing to have to do. You have to just really pull yourself back and go, okay, who am I doing this for? Is this for me, or is this for them? And that's where I have found that question has always helped me to go, I'm doing this for me. I need to deal with my own stuff. This isn't about them, and I will not allow my stuff to go onto them. That stops with me.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of healing comes from too, especially with women. I notice that with a lot of my clients, is that they make the decision that whatever it is that they're dealing with, this stops with me. Their sisters or their mothers or their grandmothers may not have wanted to deal with it, but they've made the choice. This stops with me. And I think that's, an important thing to understand and to sit within as well.
How have you created or kept boundaries for yourself through this? Because I think when even if we're, just a mom, not even dealing with special needs or anything else, like on top of it, it can be really easy to get caught up with all of that stuff and not create boundaries of going, okay, this is not how this is going to happen, and I need time for myself. And how have you been able to do that for yourself?
I think it's just really important to understand that our journey is our journey. Because I think what happens with mums is that we think, well, we're just here for our kids. So it's just about our kids' lives. But what we need to understand is that this is our life. So we have to absolutely put those boundaries in place and understand that I get to live my life. I don't have to live my life for my kids. Sure, we're there to support them and help them with everything that they're going through, but we also need to have that time for ourselves as well. So I have what I call the healing hour every day. So from 1 till 2 every day is my healing hour. And I can do whatever I want to do within that time. So whether that's meditation, whether I'm doing my journaling, whether I'm just resting, sometimes I might just want to, watch an old series of TV just to kind of power down. Yeah. That has to be my time. And I had to bring my family in on that. So my husband knows that 1 to 2 is my healing hour. My kids know that that's what that is. So they really observe that, and not only observe it, but they actually encourage it. So if it's past 1, my husband's on me. He's like, hello, it's like time for a healing hour, because he knows if I don't do it, everybody's in trouble.
Yeah. I love that you said that, though, bringing the family into it, having that conversation, because so many people need those things for themselves, and then they get mad because nobody knows what's going on. There's no communication. And so then people are angry, people are upset. What are you doing? Banging on the door, like the whole thing. And it would have been as simple as saying, this is my sacred time that I need every day, or 5 days a week, whatever it is. And I want to let you know that I need this time. It's as easy as having a conversation, but we complicate it by not saying anything.
Yeah, people should know that this is what I need, when you maybe yourself don't know what you need. So if you don't know what you need, how is your partner or your family going to know that this is what you need? And this is also part of the work with my clients, is I have to say to them, okay, what is it that you need? And the look on their face is like, what? What's that now? You're actually giving me time and asking me what I want? That doesn't happen. And I'm like, yeah, let's look into that. What is it that you want? And then we really start to uncover what that is for them. And they're like, okay, you're going to tell your husband that. And they're like, nope. I'm not doing that. That's not happening. I'm like, yes, that's what we're doing. We're going to be doing that. Yeah. And then over time, they start to realize that by doing that, then they increase the capacity they have within them to cope with life. Because as we've seen, the last few years, not been great. We need that extra capacity to be able to cope with the things that keep getting thrown at us.
Yeah.
And absolutely. That's by having that conversation, you are going to allow then the husband, the partner, to allow you to do that.
Right.
Because they don't know. I mean, men anyway, but they don't tend to know.
Yeah.
You need to tell them, what it is that you need. So be very open, have that open conversation and say, okay, these are the things that I need. I need you to help me with this. I need you to take the kids for this half an hour, this hour, whatever it is. And I do say that to my clients as well about the micro moments. Because as a special needs parent, you don't have, I'm pretty lucky that I can have an hour a day. That's pretty unusual for someone who has a special needs child. I'm lucky for the support that I have from my husband that I'm able to do that. But for most special needs parents, they don't have that. Right. So I talk to them about the micro moments. So, the kids may be sitting, playing, colouring together or something like that. That's your micro moment. Just sit, take some breaths. If that's all you can do, that's okay. That's enough for right now. And then we expand on that as time goes past. But those micro moments will absolutely make a difference. Because otherwise, if you have that kind of mindset of all or nothing, it's always going to be nothing.
Yeah.
It's really important to go, well, actually 5 minutes is enough. 5 minutes will make a difference. Yeah. Whether it's going outside and doing some grounding barefoot on the grass, that's really going to help. So it's just helping them to understand that it doesn't have to be a huge hour. It doesn't have to be the idea of, the big self-care where we're going to a spa day or anything. We don't have time for that.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that too, because so many people have come to me over the years of I don't have time to meditate. Because they have a preconceived notion of in their head of what these things have to look like and how long they have to last. And, they have to have a glitter on the wall with a meditation pillow and someone feeding them grapes or, something in order for, I wish I had that, but, we have ideas of how things happen. And so I love the micro moments that you're sharing as well. I know it is clear to me how your experience has impacted your work as a counselor, but has the work as a counselor impacted your personal life? And if so, how has it done that?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Just seeing like how my clients are healing and seeing the difference in their world gives me such fulfillment. Like I mentioned before that I, had COVID and I've got long COVID. I never stopped working through any of that.
Yep.
Even when I was at my worst, I was even virtually in hospital for 12 days. So I was at home, but I was hospitalized, being checked on by nurses. I was still working because I have such love for my clients, and it doesn't feel like work to me.
Yeah.
It absolutely fills me up to do my work with my clients. It doesn't drain me. And I think that's, for me, was the real sign of this is my soul work, because it absolutely gives me that fulfillment and it fills my cup. And then I can deal with, obviously all the other stuff that I have going on in my life outside of work. It helps me to cope with all that a little bit easier. So I would absolutely say that it has affected me personally on, in a positive way, not in a negative way.
Have you had those moments? For me, I can think of times when I've been coaching people and in the middle of the sentence coming out of my mouth, I'm like, I have this moment where I go, oh, this is for me too. Have you had those as well?
So many times.
Yeah.
Like, okay, mental note, because it's funny, because I work very intuitively with my clients, and, I'll say something and then later in the session, they'll be like, what was that thing that you said? And I'm like, I have no idea, because, it just drops in through me. So it's not something that's kind of processed through my brain. So I don't remember what I've said.
Yeah.
We now record the sessions for that reason. I have no idea what I just said. And then I'm like, what was that I said? That was really good. That was probably for me too.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. I mean, you finish your sentence and, coaching them or counseling them in whatever way. And then you get off and go, well, it's time for me to go work on this now too, because this was clearly for me as well. I love that. I know that your work has been very important to you for a long time, but one of the shows we've been doing on the Breakthrough Show Network this year is called My Way. And we talk about entrepreneurs who are doing business their way. It's not often common to see a counselor bringing in some of the techniques and talking about intuition and things like that. So how has that experience been for you, kind of creating your business the way that you want to do it?
Yeah. It's been a struggle. Like, I'll be honest, it has been a struggle. I've bounced between it quite over the last 5 to 6 years. So, I started out and I did the counselling degree. So that would be for a traditional counsellor. But at the same time, EFT, emotional freedom techniques, or tapping, that training also popped its little head up to go, hello, Nicole, tap me on the shoulder. Let's go do. And I was doing those two things at the same time. So it was quite a struggle to fit those two together, because they didn't fit at the time. It was just like, these are like way in different boxes. How do I kind of put those two together? And I struggled with it for a really long time. And I think that was about a self-worth thing as well. So it's been a very big self-worth journey for me as well, and understanding that it was okay, to do that. And now the things I include in a session now, a traditional counsellor would just be like, what? That's not okay. So like, I start the session out with angel guidance. I pull an angel card for each of my clients. I write out the spiritual guidance that comes through for them. So we do that, and we do tapping. Obviously, we do some talk therapy within that as well. So it is absolutely my way. No other counsellor is doing it this way, and they'd probably balk at the fact that I call myself a counsellor, because I'm doing it very differently. And, counsellors don't give advice, right? Yeah. They are not allowed to do that. It has to be about reflective questions, which I do as well anyway, but I also share a lot of my journey with my clients. Counsellors don't tend to do that. It's all focused on the client, which it should be, but with my clientele, they absolutely need me to share my journey with them. Right. Otherwise, they feel alone. And my role is to help them to feel less alone. So if I can share a little bit of myself with them, then they're like, actually, it's not just me. And to me, that's healing in itself, and I'm willing to do that.
Yeah.
So I just find that, and that's why my business, is called Nicole Ivens Holistic Counselling, because we're just pretty much throwing everything in, including the kitchen sink.
And that's okay. Like, and I think what I've learned from myself as well is that, we do things. You're always going to have those people in your ear of saying, like, listen, you can't be doing that way. But the people that are meant to be our clients or our partners in different things, are people that we network with. If it's meant to be, they're going to be attracted to those things.
Yeah,
anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah. I had a client finish up with me last week, and she said to me, the fact that you shared so much of yourself with me absolutely was a huge part of my healing. She said, because I didn't feel alone, and I knew that, it wasn't just me, that this was your experience as well. And she said, and hearing about your experience absolutely helped me. So I'm like, well, that's enough for me. I don't care what the traditional counselors are going to say about it. I'm not going to allow that noise in. I'm doing what my clients need. And as you say, those clients are the ones that are attracted to me. They love to hear my own experience on things. Obviously our experiences are different. They're similar, but they are different. But it just allows them to see a different point of view if I've been through something similar. Because I think as entrepreneurs, we're on this journey and we're just a little bit ahead, maybe just a few steps ahead of our clients, and we're just going to help to guide them along. And I've always loved that imagery, that's what my role is just I'm a little bit ahead, and then I'm just helping to, whether it's pulling them up the rock or whatever, those images we see on Facebook, I'm happy to be that person for my clients.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love it. Well, I'm so glad that you've been able to share, just your perspective, as a mom, as a woman, as a special needs mom, as a counselor with everybody today. And I love some of the ideas that you've given just through telling your story. See, it's so powerful just to tell your story, because we don't have to wag a finger in somebody's face and say, you have to do this. We can just tell a story and learn so much from that.
Hi, I'm Jessica Dugas, and while you might know me as the creator of the Breakthrough Show Network, I'm also a mom of 6 children. Once I became a mom, I realized very quickly that not all children everywhere start out with the same resources and support in life. Recently, I learned of an organization that believes that no child anywhere should be marginalized. The Gratitude Network identifies visionary social entrepreneurs who are working with children and youth around the world and provides them with the capacity-building resources to grow their organizations to impact 5 to 10 times more children or youth in scalable and sustainable ways. The Breakthrough Show Network is proud to host several of the world-changing entrepreneurs that are part of the Gratitude Network. If you're a social entrepreneur who serves the youth of the world and would like to learn more about being a part of the Gratitude Network, or if you're a person or business who would like to support the mission of the Gratitude Network, I invite you to visit gratitude-network.org to learn more. Together, we can improve the lives of children and youth around the world.
We have to get to our 10 quick fire questions, Nicole. Are you ready for them?
I'm ready. That's good.
All right. Well, we're going to have some fun. Here we go. Number 1, what is your morning beverage of choice?
Coffee.
Number 2, when are you most productive?
Nighttime.
All these nighttime people. Where are my morning people? Hello. Number 3, which season is your favorite?
Spring, which
Very
is
good. Number 4, what is something you're learning right now?
Oh, good question. I'm learning the Ho'oponopono forgiveness technique.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. Number 5, what were your best and worst subjects in school?
Best would have been cooking, and worst was maths.
Okay. All right. But you see, cooking, you use a lot of math. So I say you're doing double duty.
Yeah, let's go with that.
We're just about building you up here. That's what we're trying to do. All right. Number 6, what scares you?
My kid's been sick. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Number 7, have you ever been in love?
Yes, with my husband for 25 years.
We're so glad that's your answer and nothing else.
My one and only. I've never had anyone else but him.
Oh, so good. So good. All right. Number 8, what inspires you?
My kids, like their journey absolutely inspires me every day.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Number 9, if you have any, you gave us a little bit of a hint. How do you enjoy your downtime?
So obviously my meditation is big. My journaling is big, and walking on the beach as well. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, me too. Me too. All right. Number 10, which culture do you deeply respect and or want to learn more about other than your own?
That's a good question. I have a big interest in Buddhism and the way that they hold themselves, because I grew up Catholic. I've stepped out of that now because of certain things that have been happening within that church. When I see that culture, it just seems so zen to me.
Yeah.
It's just calm, and that is my energy as well. People tell me that a lot, that I'm very calming and my voice is very calming for them. So when I see that, I'm like, it just kind of matches for me, and I would love to learn more about that.
I love it. I love it. Well, you survived. You got through all 10 very quickly. It might have been, I mean, I don't know. Greg last week was pretty fast, but I think you're right up there with the quickest time for sure.
Yay.
All right. Well, we would love for everybody to go visit your website, which is NicoleIvens.com. Do you want to tell everybody what they can find there?
Yeah, so on here you'll see all the different types of people that I work with. So obviously my main one in the middle there is the carers, special needs parents, but I also work with highly sensitive people and empaths as well, because that's something that's also me. So I'm able to help and that's what I found with my work, is that it comes from such a deep place within me. It's not just about, I've done the study and I can be a counsellor. This stuff comes from deep within me, and I will not share anything with my clients that I haven't already done myself. And my clients seem to really appreciate that. So you'll be able to find on there all the different areas that I work with as well. So obviously I said special needs parents and carers. I help you with any trauma that you're experiencing, and that's a lot with special needs parents, obviously. Anxiety as well, confidence and self-esteem, and then all of those as well are things that I've dealt with and I've had to heal within myself as well. So yeah, feel free to pop on there. And if you want to know more about me, if you head across to the About page, I've actually written my story there. For people to really get to know me on a deeper level. So if you want to know more about my story, you can certainly head over to the Meet Nicole page, I think it says. And then also have my podcast as well, which is Thrive with Nicole. And actually starting on Monday, I'm going to be putting out what's called Mystical Monday, and that's going to be a message and meditation every Monday morning.
Oh, so very nice.
Support my community every week. I was asking how I work with people. So I do work with people online worldwide. So what I offer is a free online consultation, which is a video consultation, where we can have a chat about what you've been experiencing, and I can show you how I can help you. And then we set intentions and goals for your sessions, so that we can really start to help you to heal and to be able to move forward in your life. So I hope that, really helps, and I would love to be able to support you if you are struggling, in your life right now, and just need someone to be able to support you. And what's great about it is that it's online, and that you don't need to leave your safe space. So you can be comfortable where you are.
Well, I'm so glad that we got a chance to do this. Like I said, I feel like it's been a long time coming, and for everybody to hear your story. And I know that they're walking away having learned a lot. And we would love for you to visit Nicole on our website and, connect and see if she can help you out with something in your life. Nicole, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, you guys, it has been another fabulous episode today. I want to thank Nicole for being here, and all of you, wherever you are around the world, even my replay people, I love you so much. I want to remind you of a couple of things. First and foremost, you can join our community from anywhere and around the world by heading over to bit.ly/Discord Breakthrough to chat with other fans, meet past guests and hosts from the Breakthrough Show Network. You can also, if you are in the US, Canada, and Puerto Rico, Rico. Join our text community for show notifications. Don't miss when the show's on because you're going to miss some good stuff. Text the word breakthrough to 256-685-7092. 256-685-7092. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. Thank you for being here today. And I want to remind you to make every day a great day for a breakthrough. We'll see you next time.